So it's very clear by the data that we have that we're certainly diagnosing boys more than girls. I think that, when we look at ADHD, there are the problems with focus and attention as a general category. And then there are the kind of behavioral pieces, the impulsivity, hyperactivity, those externalizing behaviors. Externalizing behaviors are more common in boys with or without ADHD. And additionally, as human people, right, parents, teachers, community members, we are much more able to pick up on, identify, and to address an externalizing behavior because it's disruptive, right? The teacher is conducting class and someone's out of their seat, they're talking, that draws our attention. That happens over time. That shows up on our radar much more readily. So if the kind of oversimplified example is you have the hyper boy who's running around and talking and not paying attention, where we think by the data that females actually, one, have less externalizing behaviors in general, but really do suffer from ADHD at a higher rate than we understand. However, their primary symptoms are on the focus, the internalizing, the focus and attention. So if she's sitting there quietly, appearing attentive, but mind is somewhere else, hard to track, hard to organize, to a teacher sitting in a room with 35 kids, that may not stand out as a problematic behavior. Now, it may show in grades and performance, but the likelihood of identifying that as something that would require or could benefit from medical intervention doesn't happen as much. And so as such, I think that we are identifying that inattentive subtype that happens more frequently in females less often than occurs, or at the very least, it tends to get picked up after a much longer period of time when, that young girl's intellect, other things seem to show that she's significantly underperforming over time. And a attentive parent or a teacher or someone else may say, "Hey, what's going on here?" And so 3, 4, 5 years go by, and then they may present. The problem with that, of course, is that we don't get those years back, and the impact on that learning, developing mind is at a bit of a loss of what that experience would have been had they been identified, diagnosed, and then provided effective treatment much sooner. And so I think the bigger part of this is, one, just the natural externalizing behaviors, and then two, in the environments where these things are most often identified, we're kind of cued to look for that externalizing behavior as opposed to the more internalized lack of focus, disorganization types of symptoms.